primary ignition.
Welcome to the Reforming Nerddom Star Wars Skeleton Crew After Show with your hosts, Jordan and Ben.
We'll make a partnership.
Whoa, where'd you two find an Old Republic credit?
A crew of murderous pirates is coming. Be warned of booby traps.
Well, welcome to the Reforming Nerddom Nerd Reviews, Episode 1, the inaugural episode. We are reviewing the Skeleton Crew new Star Wars show. We have myself, Ben. We have Jordan also with us. Nate may or may not join us at some point in the future, but we will see. So we're looking at episodes 1 and 2 of Skeleton Crew. Jordan, any very, very quick initial thoughts before we jump into some of the just basics in terms of date, runtime, all that fun stuff?
So Nate was, Nate couldn't be here and he wasn't able to watch it because we had to stay up kind of late last night to be able to watch it, and he wasn't able to. So in terms of where I'm at, Nate wanted to know today what my thoughts were, and I said, you should watch this show and you should watch it with your kids. So let that be a bit of an indication for what I thought about it. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I was very similar. To me, I was all I kept hearing from all the lead up to it was like, this is Amblin in space, right? Like Goonies in space. And I think that was pretty accurate just in terms of like, I feel like this was more of a um less of like Star Wars with a little bit of Goonies influence and more of like Goonies with a little bit of Star Wars influence.
Yep.
It like leaned more in that direction, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm interested to get into it, get your thoughts about some of the specifics, but generally so far positive. I was to say, like I told my two oldest boys, they asked about it this morning. And I said, look, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna watch the whole series before we sit down and watch it together because I don't want to get them all hyped up into like 2 or 3 episodes and then realize in episode 4 there's a you know whatever character turns out to be trans or something
Yeah.
ridiculous. But uh, so far so good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the positive thing, even from like a kid perspective right now, is I didn't know this, but apparently this is the first of what will be multiple more kid-focused Star Wars shows
I
that they're
didn't know
coming out
that.
with. I
Yeah.
didn't know that, so
I think
if
that's wise.
yeah, I do. I think so as well. I mean, yeah, lesbian space witches didn't work, so let's go
Yeah.
back to the beginnings and like, because I think as we'll kind of see as we talk about this, if you want to kind of capture the next generation of Star Wars fans, you have to go back and kind of recapture the hearts and minds and imaginations of kids, because like it was when we were younger where we watched these Star Wars movies, and it just like that's kind of honestly how I felt watching this, was like I felt like I was a kid watching Star Wars again,
Yeah.
which is I
Well, that's
think
what
what they need to do.
I don't think people realize. Like, if you go back and watch A New Hope now, um, it's like pretty corny.
Yeah.
Like it's very much a kids movie. Um, in this, of just like there's just nothing in there that's objectionable, really.
Yep.
And so that's what got all these 10 to 12-year-old kids just obsessed with Star Wars back in 1977. And then same thing with right when the prequels came out, like episode 1 is the cheesiest kids movie ever.
Yep.
Which and then like in hindsight though, it's like that's probably kind of a smart move, right? Like both times you got a new generation of fans into the whole Star Wars thing. So yeah, I don't know. I think reaching out intentionally for the kid audience is a smart move at this
Yep.
point, because I think basically Disney Star Wars, other than some of their animated stuff, obviously,
Yeah, yeah.
like Rebels and Clone Wars and stuff like that, has just not been kid friendly at all. Yeah. So, Skeleton Crew, let's just look at some of the quick details here. We have the series co-creators being John Watts and Christopher Ford. John Watts of Spider-Man fame. We have I don't know, to me, kind of a surprising budget of $136 million, which is roughly 17 to 22-ish million dollars per episode. And the reason I say surprising, I guess, is when you compare that with The Mandalorian, which came in at about 12 to 15 million per episode. Which, I mean, I know just with inflation, you're
Yeah.
you're probably talking about roughly the same thing. But even at the same, even if even if you say that they cost the same, it is a little surprising to me that this show, which has been kind of just like very under the radar, not really
Yep.
promoted, is costing the same as basically Disney Star Wars's bread and butter,
Yep.
the being the Mandalorian.
A-
So that
And I
surprised me a little bit.
yeah, but I think that's actually a positive thing
I
because
agree. Yeah.
it shows that one, they believe in it, which I mean, as evidenced by spending the money, but um like I think it shows that they're actually willing to invest in this like new era of kind of storytelling, this next phase of Star Wars, which is really good that they're actually putting money down on it and actually believe in it, which is good. So I mean, them believing in it is not the same thing as it being good, but at least we
Correct.
know. So if it does end up being good long term, then that's a good sign for the future trajectory of Star Wars, where it's like, okay, now they're putting money, like they've already canceled the Acolyte season 2.
Yeah. So
Um,
now they got tons of money to spend.
right? That's it. And so now it's like, yeah, they don't have to do that again. But now it's like, okay, so they're putting money in possibly good things, which is encouraging to see.
Yeah. No, I agree. Um, and yeah, so I think what we're gonna do is, in order just to frame our discussion, we'll run down quickly. So this is an episode 1 and episode 2 both dropped here a day early. I think originally
Yep.
it was December 3rd.
Yep.
Um, I don't know why, but dropped a day early on December 2nd. I haven't seen any um official reason why they dropped it a day early, but so we have episodes 1 and 2 dropping on December 2nd, and we'll just run through a quick synopsis kind of the details of the episodes, and then we'll talk about what we liked, what we didn't like, potential spoilers, Easter eggs, all that kind of fun stuff.
This episode of the Reforming Nerddom podcast is brought to you by the Ezra Institute. Founded in 2009 by Dr. Joe Boot, the Ezra Institute is dedicated to equipping Christians to think and live biblically in every area of life. Through in-person training programs, resources, and events, they help believers apply a Christian worldview to culture, education, politics, and more. With a growing presence in Canada, the US, and the UK, the Ezra Institute is committed to empowering the church to stand firm in today's secular world. Go to EzraInstitute.com to learn more. Now, back to the show.
So we have a synopsis of Star Wars Skeleton Crew. The entire series is a live-action series that premiered on Disney Plus December 2nd, 2024, set in the New Republic era. So in the timeline of The Mandalorian or the Book of Boba Fett, if you've watched either of those. The series follows 4 children who make a mysterious discovery on their home planet, leading to them having an unexpected journey across the galaxy, guided by Jod Nan Wood, portrayed by Jude Law, who's a mysterious, maybe force-sensitive character who aids them on their quest to return home. So episode 1, we see the cold open. We're introduced to this pirate crew who's led by Captain Silvo. and his second in command, Vane, who fans might recognize from The Mandalorian. The pirates board this freighter, hoping to score a big haul of credits behind a magnetically sealed vault, and their efforts, of course, are in vain as the vault is empty aside from a single credit, and Silvo is uh, kicked out. The crew mutinies, and they the scene ends with assumingly Silvo not being the captain of the crew any longer, and then the show shifts to space suburbia
Mhm.
on the planet at Aten, and so we're introduced to the first of the children, kind of the main character of the children, a young boy named Wim, who's played by Ravi Cabot Conyers, and he's just kind of this latchkey kid in a world that a lot feels more like Earth than it does like Star Wars, which is quite unique in the Star Wars universe, right? We've got cul-de-sacs and highways and sidewalks and trams and school buses and all that kind of stuff. So, a very very interesting setting for Star Wars. And Wim spends the morning immersed in his little story pad. He's kind of in love with the Jedi lore, and he's reenacting lightsaber fights with his friends and all that kind of stuff. So we then see Wim going to school, and he's meets up with his best friend Neil, and they encounter these two girls, Fern and KB. Who are kind of troublemakers, riding their dirt bike around town, basically, and kind of this Breakfast Club esque ensemble little kid cast here. And so Neil is very studious, where Wim is, kind of the dreamer of the group, wants to go on adventures and all that kind of stuff. And the story starts to pick up as we are introduced to this career assessment test that's announced at the school, which is designed to give each child their future role in the New Republic's great work, whatever that is. And Wim struggles to articulate his aspirations, wanting to help people and make a difference, which Neil sort of makes fun of him for basically saying he wants to be a Jedi, which is not one of the sort of accepted job positions here in the New Republic's great work. Um, and so the children return home. We kind of see the individual lives. We see Neil's family is very warm and welcoming and loving, and Wim's dad is, sort of off at work all the time, and Wim is left to kind of fend for himself. Fern is hiding her rebellious streak from her mother, who is Undersecretary Farah, the one who was the kind of scolding lady who stood up in front of the class earlier in the episode. And then that night, Wim's curiosity sort of gets the best of him. He ends up missing the bus and tries to take a shortcut to school and ends up finding this, what he thinks is a buried Jedi temple in the woods. And he gets caught by this school droid before being able to fully investigate it. So after school, he gets his friend Neil to come, and they investigate. They meet up with Fern and KB, who also, so then all four of them go into this buried structure, which turns out to not be a Jedi temple, but to be a starship. And of course, they, hit the big green button that they're not supposed to hit, and they launch off into space. And, poof, episode is over. So that is the quick plot synopsis of episode one. Jordan, you want to, before we maybe talk about our thoughts of episode one. I think episode one and two were so closely tied together. I think all of our thoughts are going to sort of wrap up both of them. Do you want to give us a quick episode two synopsis before
Yep.
we get into our thoughts?
Yep, for sure. So, yeah, episode one was a bit longer. I think runtime was about 48 minutes. The episode two was closer to 30 minutes. And episode two picked up right where the pilot left off. We have got the four kids, Wim, Neil, Fern, and KB. They're on the spaceship. They're desperately trying to figure out a way to turn the ship around to get back home. And as they're on the ship, this dead droid comes to life. Its name is SM-33, and it is very much operational. It's searching for its captain. And then when SM-33 realizes the captain is gone, Fern, who is showing herself to be the very clever, crafty, intelligent character amongst the four kids, she makes herself the new captain and forces the droid to obey her, which SM-33 gladly does. And then so she then asks him to teach her how to pilot the ship so that they can get home. But the problem that comes up is SM-33 doesn't know where At-Aten is, doesn't know what it is. It's not in his memory bank, and so they don't have a clear direction. They don't know where to go amongst the millions of stars and planets. They have no idea where to go. So then SM-33, he sets course for a port called Port Borgo, and it is a pirate haven. And then when the kids they get there, they get to the port. They're trying to find somebody who can point them back to At-Aten. They split up, and then Fern and KB, the two girl characters, are approached by Melna, a woman who is curious about who these kids are. I think it's strange to see young kids on a pirate port. And then Wim and Neil, they go and try to get some food and draw some unwanted attention when they try to pay using Old Republic credits, which I think is going to be a big thing in this whole story, kind of the mystery of what's happening, because people are when the kids tell them about At-Aten, some of the other pirates notice, one of them being Vane, who was in The Mandalorian. And so when they hear that these kids are from At-Aten, they say that it is a lost planet of eternal treasure. They kind of laugh at the idea of At-Aten, but then when they see the kids have the money, that starts to be a little bit curious to these pirates. So then the danger escalates for the kids. The pirates try to capture them, and then the kids all try to flee back to their ship, but they are overpowered. SM-33 tries to come to the rescue, but he is deactivated, and then the kids are thrown into this prison cell. And it's here where we meet Jude Law's character, Jodna Wood, who he promises to help them escape in exchange for a ride off of Port Borgo. And at the scene, or I guess this scene where they meet him, ends when he reveals that he has at least some force abilities. Whether he is a Jedi or not, he has some force capabilities, and he steals the key off the wall and signaling that he's going to help these kids get off of this port and get back to their ship. And then the episode ends with that whole kind of segue or lead up into them escaping with Jude Law and his character. So that's kind of where episode 2 ends. So I guess, Ben, we just did a little bit of a summary of the episodes. Now, what do you think?
Yeah, so I'll kind of go through my positive thoughts, which are it first of all just wasn't woke, at
Yeah,
least yet.
yeah,
I just It was just an enjoyable watch. Like, I never had to, no winces, no eye rolling, and all that kind of stuff that's been sort of typical of Star Wars lately. And so that was really nice. Kid friendly was really nice. I Especially now I've got kids that are of age to watch that kind of stuff, and so far, you know, a quarter of the way through, 2 episodes out of 8. I'd be happy to show this to my kids. Like, they've seen a lot not all of Star Wars, but they've seen a lot of Star Wars stuff already. So this is totally within the realm of what I'd be happy to show them. So that was a positive. Um, I'm somewhat can't stand child actors just in a general sense of like in any movie of any kind. And these kids weren't utterly insufferable, which
yeah,
is about the highest praise I can give to to most child actors.
yeah,
Like, even in comparison to other Star Wars child actors, like, I think all of these kids did a better job than episode 1 Anakin,
Mhm.
unfortunately. Um, so that's a positive. I actually like Jude Law, so I'm looking for. I mean, we only saw 30 seconds of him basically, but
Yep.
so I mean, at least looking forward to that. Um, some fun kind of like Easter egg callbacks that maybe we'll get into a little bit as we talk through some specific scenes and whatnot. But the whole piratey aspect of everything, I thought they did a good job of making it like fun pirate stuff, but not annoyingly trying to like pigeonhole the pirate stuff in too much. I thought they walked the tightrope there pretty well. So yeah, positively, what's your positive take?
So I just found that as I was watching it, it just made me feel that kind of joy of Star Wars again, where at least and maybe that's part of their strategy. Maybe and this shows maybe how pessimistic I am, but it in that
The
it's
bait and
almost like
switch.
they're trying to like have our guards down, and then they're just gonna come in and find out that oh, Wim's actually a girl, and his
This
dad.
is actually Acolyte season 2.
Yeah, and it's like his mom left because she's one of the lesbian space
Yeah.
witches, and but I mean, yeah, it was really refreshing to watch a Star Wars show, and I felt like I could do so just entirely with my guard down. I didn't have like I wasn't feeling threatened that they're gonna try to push something. I thought, yeah, like I agree. The characters, you always run a risk when you have a cast of characters that are all kids,
Yeah.
because kids aren't going to be as good of actors. And I thought the kids did well. And I think part of why the kids were really good was it's a movie about kids being kids.
Yeah.
And so it's like, yeah, just it's like Ryan Reynolds in a movie. He can act those characters well because it's just Ryan Reynolds in all his
Right.
characters he ever does. And then so it felt like, yeah, they were kids. And that was good. And
Yep.
it was fun. The kids they I thought they worked well together. I thought Neil is absolutely going to be the most, like, loved character in
Yeah.
this, like, he was
I
just
think
like
you're
that
right.
he's just like that fat kid who's just like your friend tagging along, and he's
Well,
just
and funny
goofy
enough,
and
like because kid actors just generally, right? Just I mean, they're kids, right? Like they can only do so much. Um, because you can't actually like see any of his facial expressions
yeah,
or like it actually it almost improves the performance
mm,
because it's just this blue elephant kid that
yeah,
is well.
and
So again, so another positive. I was actually really pleased with the um uh practical effects of
yes,
everything.
I was just gonna say that.
Just like all the like the costumes, the aliens, were again, this is like maybe one of the bonuses of having a TV budget
Mhm,
is that they're not trying to CGI everything.
yep,
Going back to some like just like traditional Star Wars practical effects, alien design, which I way prefer. So that
yeah.
was actually really cool.
'Cause I was gonna say, like, as I was watching it, I think Neil, who, like, obviously it was a mask or something on, but it seemed like it was a mask. It didn't seem CGI, like, it actually looked
Oh,
as if there was
I think it was practical. Yeah, I think it was a
yeah,
mask. Yeah.
and so I thought it
I
was
mean, like
great.
they'd probably touch it up with
Yeah, I'm sure,
CGI and
but
whatever, but
largely
like
it
I'm
looked
sure like the eyes and everything are all
yeah,
CGI. But
yeah,
I
but
think generally,
largely
yeah, I
it
think
looked
it's
good. It
yeah,
lent to a more believable world and,
yeah,
like, especially one that we're so familiar with just because it felt like I mean, I wish I had a hover bike, the way that those kids did, but it felt like, yeah, just suburbia in the
yeah.
'80s,
I
but it
mean, I
just
think
happened to
one
be
one of the parts I loved was when he's taking his shortcut and he gets to the dead end
it
on the road there, and he just like picks the little hover bike up and chucks it over
yeah,
the concrete barrier. I was
yeah,
like, oh, that's I mean, it's just like a kid on his bike, like
yeah.
it.
Well,
It's like
and I loved some of the, like, the one-liners that the kid or so there's the when, Fern and him are sitting in the school, and he's getting in trouble because he missed his, exam thing or his assessment, and she's talking about her bike, and he's like, "It's totally wizard." I was like, that's the kinda line that will actually be used by kids.
well,
Like,
which
"Oh"
well, that's actually a episode 1 callback.
oh, is it?
Yeah, yeah, that was one of Anakin's little friends.
And did he actually
when
say like
he's
it's totally wizard?
yeah, when he's like working on one of his pod racers or
Oh,
something, they're like, "Oh,
okay.
Annie, that's so wizard," or something like
Oh,
that.
cool.
So
Okay.
yeah, that
I
was
didn't
actually
remember that. So
yeah.
even in this, like that is absolutely going to be a thing that kids say. Oh, it's
Yeah.
totally wizard. And then the
Yeah.
other one, which was really funny, was when they found the door. So he was Wim was he was the one to first find it, but then when the girls show up,
Yeah.
they call claimsies on it,
Yeah, claimsies, yeah.
and they
No
just have
no
this like
claimsies or no
yeah.
back claimsies or
Yeah,
whatever.
and
Yeah,
they just
yeah.
have this like, I honestly wanted to go back and follow the train of thought because they finally were like, "Oh, yeah," no, Neil was like, "No, they got us." Like, they
Yes.
it was like, "Okay," so that was really I thought that was really clever, and again, it's just like kids being kids, but yeah, I actually thought that back to the CGI and practical effects, like, I know a lot of movies now in TV, they're not doing a great job with it. I wasn't bothered by anything, like, there was nothing in it, like, even with the spaceship scene, like, when when the pirate ship was
I think
capturing the other one.
I was gonna say the only thing that I, like, made note of was in that very first opening scene, the guys that, like, grappling hook,
Yes, that was the exact one I was gonna say too.
up
Yep,
to the, like, gun to the turret there and, like,
yep,
disable the turret. I was like, "Ooh, that was a little rough."
yep,
Because it was, like, fully 100% CGI,
yeah,
where everything else that was mostly practical with, like, a little CGI mixed in, everything looked great.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, like, I mean, we were watching it because we wanted to talk about it, but I actually, like, when I was watching it, I just genuinely enjoyed it. I
Yeah.
thought it
I
was
mean, like, it's a kid's movie or
yeah,
a
yeah,
kid's show, so, I mean, like, I wasn't fully riveted because 'cause I'm a 36-year-old adult in that sense, of, like, this it wasn't my favorite show I've ever seen, um, but I thought it was well done, and I was happy that they made something I could show my kids,
yeah,
hopefully, once
yeah,
they
and
see the rest of the series.
yeah, and that's for me as well. These 2 episodes, I would have no problem having my kids watch, but yeah, it is like jury's out on the rest of
Yeah.
it, and so I'd
Yeah.
like to see at least the trajectory of it for at least a couple more episodes, and I think I might do what you're doing. I mean, it's only I think it's what, January 12th or 13th
Yeah,
or
it's, like,
something where the last
mid-January when
one,
it's
so
done.
we're talking
Yeah.
about a month and a little bit, so
Yeah.
watch all of it, and then if it's good, sit down and watch it with the kids, and I actually need to finish watching through the main movies with all my kids. I started watching it, but then my youngest, so hadn't started getting a little bit scared with some of it, and I mean, he's 3, so
Yeah.
yeah.
That's fair.
So it's like, yeah, I probably won't watch with him, and so but my oldest 2 wanna finish watching it, so I think I'm gonna try to find some time, finish watching that with them because there's so much they need to catch up on, right? This is, like, this was something that we can appreciate because we grew up with all of it, but, yeah, no, I'm excited. I I'm kind of we'll see. I mean, Disney has disappointed us so much that I feel like we're rightfully hesitant to wanna get too excited, but,
Yeah.
I mean, it is seemingly a positive thing, and it's only I mean, now that I mean, in the other episodes that we've done on the main podcast, we've talked about how Trump winning is already having an impact on, the future of entertainment, because these companies are abandoning their DEI stuff, so it's like, well, it does make you wonder if all these things were there were rumblings or there were it's almost like this is a sign or a tell that they knew something a change of the tide was happening for this show, which was produced probably 6 months to a year ago.
Well, and this has had delay, like, quite a bit of delay. I think this was supposed to be released, like, a year ago
Okay, so that
and
means
got pushed back, so
it does make you wonder, I'd love to be a fly on the wall in Disney because it's just so strange how you have some of these movies that end up being fine, and but then some of them are just so terrible, they're not like, why
yeah.
do they exist? And it's just interesting why within that culture of that company, like, who do they like, why would they allow some things that are good, some things are bad? It's a weird dynamic in that
Yeah,
company.
and I mean, like, honestly, it's at least right now, it's like the watchable stuff is the stuff that's Favreau Filoni,
Yeah, yeah,
and everything else is kind
yep,
of utter trash,
yeah, it's true.
unfortunately.
It's
So,
it's true.
and I don't understand how they don't see that and how they don't just give them full,
Yeah,
uh, like, story control over everything,
Well,
and they
and
keep giving these like no name or woke chicks, like they keep getting them to write Star Wars stuff. I'm just like, but it fails every time.
yeah, well, because you see some of these like you see the writing room for some of these movies and video games coming out, the ones that are really bad. Usually, it's because it's crazy. There are some of them though where it is
Yeah,
exclusively women,
it's
and those
bizarre.
are the ones that end up usually being bad. And again, we've talked about this before that there's nothing wrong with women writing fantasy or sci-fi. One of my favorite book series, Harry Potter, is written by a woman. I have no issues with it.
Yeah,
It's just right when you take this stance that not a single man can be in this room, you've already lost it because
yeah,
now you know exactly what's going to be the thrust of the show when you won't allow a man in the room
yeah.
for being one of the writers.
And they,
And
and they just don't know their audience,
yeah.
obviously, right?
Yep. Well,
Yeah. So
and
what'd you?
like this, yeah, I was just gonna say this one. I like that the guy who is the creator of it, John Watts, Spider-Man movies. I mean, those were all
Yeah,
really good. Those, I mean, I think they did an excellent job with Tom Holland as Peter Parker.
yeah.
Like so they have that youthful because I think that was one of the strengths of Spider-Man is they actually made him young and they
Yes.
made him a high school kid, and I think that
Yeah.
was what lent
Not like
to
a 35-year-old Toby
yeah.
Maguire. Like,
That's right. Yeah, playing an 18-year-old, like,
you-
he was actually a young guy, and
yeah,
he was playing a kid, and that's what made it so, like, likable, and so I think it seems like it's in good hands. They have the budget, which is really nice. But yeah, I guess we wait and see. So far, it's good. Nate is excited. He wanted to know what I thought of it. I told him it's definitely worth a watch, so he's gonna give it a watch. So probably next week when we look at episode 3, it's probably I'm guessing gonna be the three of us talking about it. So
yeah. Hopefully.
but yeah, I generally positive, good, no woke. I mean I don't
Yeah.
have any strong criticisms of it right
Yeah.
now.
Do you have any like um well, two questions. First, do you have any either like favorite moments or like Easter egg moments that you
Okay,
noticed while watching?
I didn't pick up on the Easter egg, but somebody else did. I saw a tweet about it, and it was when he went to Neil's house, and Neil was the family was watching the holodeck,
Yeah.
and it was the Christmas special, the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
hologram thing from the Christmas
The
special. Like
exact same thing. So
that's
that's at least the second time that they've like officially canonized the Christmas
Christmas
special
special. Yeah.
because Life Day is in Mandalorian.
Oh,
They
okay.
talk about Life Day.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was a good callback. One of my favorite moments. So at like I've mentioned before how into the old Star Wars customizable card game how much I was into that back in the 90s. So when the in the very first scene with first of all, like that first scene with they did a really good job of the like the pirate battle, like
Oh yeah.
making it like two galleons,
Yep.
where they um
Even like how they kind of came up beside each
yeah,
other,
go up
and
beside each
yeah,
other and
yeah,
like grappling hook over and swing over, like they'd swing over on a ship, and a lot of that was really cool. And you've got like some guys with peg legs and
yeah,
the yeah, that was really well done. And they mutiny and they toss, basically like throw him off the plank, which is, like throw him out the airlock. Like a lot of that stuff was well done. But when the Wolfman comes out, I don't know if you remember the original New Hope before they did the special edition, and they
yeah.
they kind of like rejigged with CGI some of the stuff in the original trilogy. When they go into the Mos Eisley Cantina, there's a Wolfman, which actually got taken out and replaced with a different
Huh.
CGI alien in the special edition. So he's a Shistavan and Wolfman. And I remember the card that I had of the Shistavan and Wolfman.
Huh.
And on the top of each card, they have like a little bit of lore, like they have a little paragraph of
Yeah.
of, of lore on each card, and yeah, a pretty there's in some of the Legends books, there's a Shistavan and Wolfman who I can't even like it's really bizarre, like travels through time and meets this like force sensitive alien, and they fall in love, and he fought at Hoth and at Endor and all this stuff. So that was really cool to see. I was like, oh, Wolfman, that's really neat.
Yeah.
And he, like, that was a cool character again, like just super practical, like like intentionally, or maybe not intentionally, but I think um it actually was like cheesy, but in a good way. It's
Yep.
just like, that just looks like a dude in a wolf mask, but I kind of like it. Like, it's like, if you watch the original Cantina, like that's what all of those aliens are. They're just like a dude in a mask,
Yep.
which I kind of love.
Oh
Like
yeah.
that was the beauty of the original Star Wars. So I love the Wolfman. What do you think of uh, Jude Law? Can't even remember his name. His character's name.
No,
Job
oh, what is it?
Allwood or not? No,
Jod Nanawood.
not yeah,
Uh,
John. So,
so first off,
like, where he's like, is he force sensitive? Is he a Jedi?
well,
Is
first off,
he?
is he Captain Silvo?
I
And
think 100% he's Captain Silvo.
he
Like, I
has
think
to be
that's
Captain Silvo,
beyond obvious.
which
But
I thought it was fun. I loved how like the helmet kind of looked like a captain or like a pirate's
yes,
hat,
yeah,
which I thought was cool. But then it was funny how he even had the across his chest the ammo
yeah,
holster.
yeah.
It's like there's you don't shoot ammo in
Yeah.
not
I
at
mean,
least like
Chewbacca had one too.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just funny how it's because it's like such an iconic. It makes sense, but it's just
Yeah,
funny how not useful at all. But I actually really like Jude Law.
I do too. Yeah.
Yeah, I've always appreciated him as an actor. Even in Fantastic Beasts, the one of Dumbledore,
Oh
even though
yeah.
they retconned him to be gay, the whole thing. But
I never actually
um,
watched that one, but
yeah, you didn't need to. It was, but yeah, I think he's a good actor. I'm really interested to see, yeah, is he a Jedi, or is he capable? Well, because was Leia ever said to be a Jedi, or was she force sensitive? What was that ever?
so in episode 9, at the very beginning, she Luke trained her, right?
Okay,
They used like
yeah,
CGI
yeah, okay,
Carrie Fisher, and they showed scenes of Luke training her.
okay, because you can
So
be force sensitive without being a Jedi.
oh
Yes,
yeah, for sure.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it'll be interesting to see because in
So
terms
I
of the
so here's my hot take, or you know, theory or whatever, is I don't think he's even force sensitive. I think
thing is
somehow,
he's a
like, I
con
think
man.
he's just a con man.
Ah, cool,
Um,
interesting.
so I have two thoughts. I think he's a con man who, um, right, just like heard the kids talking about at what is it at Atten,
At Aden, yep.
and he's like, all right, here's my chance.
Here's my gold.
Let's do this
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Um, or I mean, even if he's force sensitive, I think that's essentially the plot. And then he'll probably have some sort of redemptive, he'll save the kids and whatever at the end. Um, or he's a plant and this is like his chance to get into the good graces with his crew, and like the
Yeah.
crew planted him in the jail with the kids to, you know, get information out of them or something.
Well,
So
because yeah, if Ad Aden really is this lost city or planet of riches, then talk about the best pirate spoil you could ever
yeah,
ask for. Because
yeah,
that's actually the interesting thing that I'm really curious what they're gonna do with that, because they mentioned in the episode the barrier, and it's like, oh, we
yeah,
can't go past, like, so there's the kids were on the ship, and as the ship is taking off, they start freaking out because they're approaching the barrier, and
yeah,
then they
which is
get
just
past the
this like
barrier,
nebula or whatever.
and
Yeah,
that's like, oh, like, what is the barrier? And because then you have this city that, or this planet that like people think that they're just lying. It's kind of like Atlantis to
yeah,
them. So it
yeah.
makes
Like
you
no, and no,
wonder,
like there's still starships allowed. No one's allowed to come or go.
yeah. So what
So
is it about this? What's the barrier? Are they just like isolating themselves
I think
from
the barrier
everyone
was
else?
just this like nebula that hides the planet.
Yeah. And so like, is that them doing it? Is that like a man-made cloaking thing,
I
or
don't
is
think
it?
so. I think it's
Yeah.
just
At
it's
Athens, like from your knowledge of lore, like is
it,
there? This is not
it's non-existent as
okay.
far. Yeah, even I looked it up to be sure, and it's just a
They just made it up for this.
previously unknown
Okay.
place.
Okay.
Like
So
my curiosity is, so like the people that inhabit the planet at some point, like they have knowledge of the Old Republic,
yeah.
or like they have Old Republic credits, but they also have knowledge of the New Republic. They know that they're part of the New Republic,
Mm-hmm.
and they know about Jedi and Sith and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, if no one can come or go, like where are they getting information from? News, like updates, like, oh, the Death
Yeah.
Star blew up, like we're part of the New Republic now. It's like
Yeah.
that's a little weird. So it's like, and at what point did the like people got there at some point,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's also weird to me that there's like multiple alien species on that planet, that it's
Yeah.
not just like a
Well,
like
and
a single, like a civilization of a single species or whatever that.
well, what's weird, I don't know if you noticed this, but there was one of the scenes where an alien being walks by and Neil calls him an alien and like treats him and
Oh, I
thought
didn't
it was
notice
like
that.
weird. Yeah. And so he didn't see
Interesting.
himself as an alien, but
Yeah.
he looked at that other being as an alien. So, and that's, I wonder what that means. Cause like, yeah, even to your point, like what could that mean? And how could that be like a subtle thing explaining about the uniqueness of Ad-Atten for there to be so much
I mean,
diverse.
and it's like obviously meant to be Earth,
Yeah.
or like it's meant to be like a representation of, like kids watching Star Wars.
Yeah.
Should feel like these kids on Earth,
Well,
like
and
on
there's
their like Earth-like planet. Yeah.
I think it makes sense that there might be some kind of conspiracy happening because like the great work that
Yeah, the great work, and like that,
like
the
what's the great work? Like they have
whatever her name
everything's
was,
yeah.
the
What was
girl's
her name?
mom, who's stood up in front of the class, like she's obviously in on,
Undersecretary Farah.
yeah, she's obviously in on whatever
Yeah.
the thing is, that's
Yeah.
the conspiracy that's hiding the planet. Like the government knows about the treasure in some way, somehow, whatever the treasure is. And like probably it's gonna be you know, like, haha, the treasure's not actually like gold, it's some sort of, I don't know, like ethereal, like the treasure is the love that we share with one another, or something
Yeah.
stupid like that. But you know what I mean.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's good I think for like a pilot, again, treating both of these as one, because I
Yeah,
mean,
that's essentially what it is.
the pilot, I think it's done a good job of it introduced the characters. The characters are likable. The world is
The droid,
interesting.
SM-33, I thought was really
Oh,
good.
fantastic!
Very
Like
likable,
yeah, good
kind of
pirate
like
droid.
side character, buddy character. Yeah.
Yeah, and whoever there must be a person at Disney now who their job is coming up with good droid names
Yeah.
because it's like that's a good name, SM-33.
Well, no,
Like
you know what it is, right?
no, I don't.
It's Shmi. Captain Hook's
Ha!
right in man. Like his it's
Is that
Shmi. Yeah.
that's what the SM is? Oh,
Well, SM and then 33 is like like SMEE. It's Shmi.
oh, look at you!
Yeah.
I did not pick
It's
up on that. That's
yeah.
fantastic.
So just like
So
more
that's
pirate.
so even better. So somebody
Yeah.
is like earning their paycheck because
Yeah.
that is fantastic. Because like obviously SM-33 is like a wicked pirate droid.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And I mean, so many like Pirates of the Caribbean callbacks, like the trying to get the animal
Yes.
to get the key out
Yeah.
of when they're in the jail.
Yeah.
And even the port, what is it? Port
Borgo.
Borgo, like it's
Borgo?
obvious, it's just like Tortuga. It's clearly Tortuga. But not, again, like not an obnoxiously so. Like just
Yeah.
you think about it for a second and you have a little chuckle, and
Yeah.
and you move on. So they did a good job with all those little
Yeah.
piratey callbacks.
Yeah. No, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. I'm glad it's out. Glad we're able to watch it and talk about it. But yeah, I think it's gonna be good.
All right, any final words?
No, I think I'm good.
All right. Well, we will be back here next. Well, actually, that's a good point. When does episode 3 release? Is it on? Because
I
this released a day early, so is it going to be on Tuesday?
That is actually a really good question. Skeleton Crew release schedule. Let's see here.
This is really
Yeah.
really good for the audio listeners here.
Yes, it is. Okay, so episode
research.
3 will be. It is Tuesdays. So they.
It is
I wonder
Tuesdays.
why
All
they
right, so
released.
we will
Yeah,
be here next
yeah. So we'll.
Wednesday.
Yep. And yeah, interesting that they moved it a day. I wonder why to then continue a Tuesday release schedule. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I
it's
don't know
Tuesday.
if maybe they were just trying to like capitalize on American Thanksgiving
Yeah,
weekend.
maybe. But
I
we
don't- I don't
have
know.
so it's December 10th, Tuesday, December 17th, Christmas Eve. So that'll be and
Yeah,
then
we're probably not doing a Christmas Day
nope.
episode, so that one will be a day or two late.
Yeah. And then December the 31st, New Year's Eve, and just January 7th, and then the 14th.
Beauty. Yeah,
Yep.
a couple of those are likely going to be a day or two
Yeah.
later than next day, but so
Yeah.
be it.
Yep.
All right, awesome. All right, well, may the force be with you, and see you next Wednesday.
Peace.